Welcome back to Time Served, the channel that's against the docket, so you don't have to. Trust is the most important value to behold in any relationship, and when that is broken, the relationship will never recover. It can be adultery or addiction that breaks that bond. However, when you touch or abuse your significant other's child that you introduced into a relationship, well, something is getting broken, much more than trust, at least in my opinion. Today we see another horrific example of a despicable diddler dismantling a family unit and destroying a poor child's entire life. Mr. Perez, I loathe you, and I know Judge Boyd is going to put you exactly where you belong. Share your feelings on this case by commenting down below, like and subscribe, set your notifications to all. Let's roll, nerds.
The court is calling 2019 CR 9954, State of Texas versus Johnny Perez. Could I have parties announced for the record, please, for the state?
David Martin.
For the defense?
Jim Ultersdorf.
And are you Mr. Johnny Perez?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we're proceeding by video because of the pandemic. Any objections from the state?
No objection.
Any objections from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right, the court will note for the record that the defendant entered his plea by video. The defendant has applied for a deferred adjudication. The state opposes his application for deferred adjudication. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report?
Yes.
State?
Yes.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are there any objections, state, to the PSI report?
No, Judge.
Any objections from the defense to the PSI report?
No, Your Honor.
All right, and also the court is in receipt of a mental health evaluation. Have both parties reviewed that document as well?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, any objections to that document
No,
from the state or the defense?
no objections from the defense, Your Honor.
All right, any objections to the court reviewing that document?
None from the defense, Your Honor.
Any objections from the state to the court reviewing that document?
No, Judge.
All right. State, you're opposed to the defendant's application. Do you have any witnesses?
No, we did not.
All right. So I'm assuming it will just be argument. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct from the state.
All right.
I mean, correct from the defense.
Yes. Defense, do you have any witnesses?
Just Mr. Perez, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Perez, if you would raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You can lower your hand. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Johnny Joe Perez.
All right. Defense?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Perez, have you lived in San Antonio for how long?
I want to say I was about 11 years old.
We don't have to be absolutely exact. I'm just trying to make sure the court understands that you basically lived here your whole life. And how old are you now, Mr. Perez?
I am 45 years old.
Okay. Besides the case that's in front of us today, what is your criminal history like?
I've obeyed the law. I had gotten in trouble back when I was young.
Okay. When you say young, what do you mean?
I was hanging around with the wrong crowd, and I got probation for back in '95.
Okay.
And,
was that a felony or misdemeanor, Mr. Perez?
I think it was deferred felony. I think I deferred 10 years. I guess it's.
Okay, so you were on deferred for 10 years?
Yes.
Do you remember what the charge was?
Burglary and habitation.
Okay. Did you finish your probation without being revoked?
Yes.
So you know what it means to be on probation, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that means you have to do a number of things, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you said you were on for 10 years. Did it terminate early or did you do the full 10 years on deferred?
The full 10.
Okay. Did you have any motions to revoke it during that period of time?
I was at that time I was behind on payments.
Okay. But you reported, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you pay all the fines and court costs and everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you take drug tests? Do you remember if that was part of it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Perez, you currently, do you live alone or what is your housing situation?
Yes, I live by myself.
Okay.
I live with right now, since I'm up in a bond in Mountain, I live behind my brother's house, an RV.
Okay. Does he have any young children?
No.
So would you continue living under those arrangements behind your brother's house in an RV or whatever it is?
For the meanwhile, yes, so I can get something.
Okay, so you'd try to find something on your own.
Yes.
Do you work, Mr. Perez?
No, I'm disabled.
Do you receive disability?
Yes.
Can you tell the judge how much you receive? It's probably in your PSI, but we need to know.
I think it's like 1,200.
Okay. And what is the nature of your disability, Mr. Perez?
I got hit by a car, and it messed up both my legs and my hip.
Okay. When you, so do you, you've been receiving that a long time. Is that permanent?
Yes.
Okay. Is that through the Social Security or how does that originate?
Yes, the SSI, yes.
Okay, I got you. Now, Mr. Perez, you know you have a serious offense here. We're asking for probation for a serious charge. Having been through probation, having been through the court process up to now, are you willing to do everything that in your power to obey the rules of probation that Judge Boyd in probation would lay down for you, require you?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to be on probation?
Yes, sir.
If the judge ordered you anything the judge ordered, and she can order pretty much anything, that's what a judge is allowed to do. Would you be willing to do that?
Yes, sir.
An open-ended commitment.
Yes, sir.
Now, you and I have been coming to court for quite a while. Your original lawyer was Virginia Maurer, I believe, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you had court with her for a little while, and then I came into the picture. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Now, you and I probably have been on Zooms here for about a year, maybe. Would you think that long or not?
Yeah, it's been about a year.
Okay.
Yes.
And then there was some time before that as well, correct?
Yes.
Virginia.
Yes, sir.
And I guess what I'm speaking to is I believe in the period of time that I've known you, I met you on Zoom. I was appointed to you on Zoom. Does that sound right? Is that how you first met me? Okay.
Yes.
During that period of time, which is probably about a year, you have only appeared in court in person. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So you've come down here, would you say 10 times? Or more?
I want to say yes about 10 times. It seems a little bit longer, but yeah, I've been here.
Well, I know, but I mean, the point is that I don't ever recall, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, us ever having to look for you or remind you or do anything like that. You've always been here timely, and we've never had a problem getting you here. Am I correct on that or not?
Correct, sir. Correct.
So you've been here every single time, and whenever you were in the hall, we'd call you. If you were in the hall, you'd immediately come in, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's the way you would treat your probation, I hope, correct? That you would
Yes,
be
sir.
always on time, always attentive, always respectful, and everything that, along with all the other things on probation, you treat it as an important thing, and your court dates have been treated that way too. Is that correct, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Perez?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Perez, you did a mental health evaluation. Do you remember doing that with a doctor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he wrote some things in there, and you and I have talked briefly about some of the things that I was concerned about on the phone before, correct?
Yes, sir.
And some of the things that the doctors laid out are what we basically talked about. That you were unable to read, correct?
Yes, sir.
but that you do possess all the mental faculties you need to enter a plea, correct?
Yes, sir.
And to be on probation and follow the rules, correct?
Yes, sir.
And in addition, you, even though you can't read, you don't have any other mental problems that you're receiving any treatment for. Am I correct?
No, just,
Okay.
no.
Well, is there anything that you're receiving any kind of treatment from a doctor for?
Just, depression, but that's about,
Okay, yeah, I was getting to that. You are being treated for seeing a doctor for that, and he
Yes.
prescribed something
Yes.
for you, correct?
yes, sir.
Did Dr. I don't recall if Dr. Jooms talked about that with you, did he?
Yes, he did.
Okay. John, I'm going to let the district attorney, if he wants to ask you some questions, go ahead and do that right now.
Yes,
And
sir.
so please treat him the same way you've always treated me and everything you've done in the court, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, State?
When you were on probation for that burglary, did you ever have an MTR filed?
No, I think it was just to go and do, restitution to pay, because I was behind on payments.
Okay, and you were on probation from June of 95 to June of 2005?
Yes,
But in October of 2004, you committed an assault?
Wait,
right?
repeat that.
I can hear.
In October of 2004, you were arrested for committing an assault, is that right?
Well, I was the victim in that case.
Okay, but it was reduced and you pled to a Class C misdemeanor assault?
It wasn't even supposed to be, I was the one that was in the hospital.
Okay, but you pled to a reduced assault Class C misdemeanor where you were sentenced and
I
fined.
thought it was supposed to be off my record. I didn't get a fine.
So you didn't do that?
I didn't get a fine. I didn't even get nothing.
Okay, just like you're continuing to tell the PSI officer that in this case, you did nothing wrong, is that right?
Now I'm talking about, well, no, I didn't, on that one, I was the one in the hospital.
I'm talking about the case that we're here for now, for where you're sexually abusing two children. You're still keeping in line with you did nothing wrong, is that right?
The lady was asking me so many questions, I didn't know how to answer them.
Okay, did you do anything wrong in this case?
I'm going to answer it.
I don't want to answer it, or I didn't hear you, sir. Repeat it.
I'm afraid to answer anything. I'm afraid to answer anything against me.
Well, you've already pled and you've judicially confessed that what the two girls told the police is true and accurate. So did you do what the girls say you did?
I don't know the name of that word. I get mixed up on my words to say. I mean,
Were you sexually inappropriate with these two children?
I forget the words to say. I don't remember what.
It's either yes or no.
No, I'm not.
Were you sexually inappropriate with these two children? Yes?
No.
No.
No, sir.
No more questions, Judge.
All right, defense?
Judge, we have no further witnesses. We'd like to talk to the issue of probation. So we would close on the issue of evidence.
All right. Mr. Perez,
Yes.
the court reviewed all of the information, the police reports, and the court found there was sufficient evidence to find you guilty. You understand that, correct?
Yes.
All right. So there are allegations that I found sufficient that you committed this offense.
Yes. I mean,
And one of those allegations is licking the vagina or the private parts of a 7-year-old. You understand that?
yes. I read it.
And the other is putting your fingers inside of a 7-year-old. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. The court will hear argument. State, you can go first. since you're opposed?
Judge, I mean, the fact that he continues to play the victim in a 2004 assault case that he pled to, and he continues to deny or fail to recognize what he has pled to in this case with sexually inappropriate behavior with two small girls, I don't think probation will do one thing for him in that regard, aside from keep him from going to prison, which is where he belongs for what he did. For people who accept responsibility for what they did and try and rehabilitate themselves and make amends for their actions, he still sees nothing wrong with what he did. So prison is the only place for him, and we ask you to maximize the punishment based on the plea bargain.
All right, defense?
Judge, that's not what Mr. Perez has said. He has stated he's not saying he didn't do anything wrong, and he's not saying that he's just saying things that might reflect what you are reading in the toward the last page, 2 pages of the mental health evaluation, where Dr. Jims lays out in I think bold paragraphs the way that if he's granted probation, that he ought to be supervised. I think the important thing here is not what Mr. Martin is reaching for. Obviously, it's an important thing to be able to take responsibility, but this is a more of an exceptional problem with this gentleman, Mr. Perez, in that if we look at overall, this is a case from 2004. And if we think about, okay, when we're dealing with these kinds of cases, when we try these kinds of cases, we're always looking about, is the jury going to think they're dealing with a predator? And I think that very simple question is answered in the answer of no. I mean, we're not dealing with someone that's a danger to the community. The fact that he's been substantially, we're talking about a long, long time here, and I can't sit there and say, okay, he's never been in trouble, but I can tell you that the fact that this is an old case, we don't have this man, he's not following what sexual offenders would normally do, if you will. I mean, he stayed out of that, and it makes one think the answer to do we need to punish him? Do we or protect the community? And I think that maybe the answer is we need to punish him for sure, but maybe the answer is maybe we don't, because we don't need to be fearful of him being a predator, which I think is, when we're dealing with these kind of cases, the most important question. I think you and I know from our experience, everyone, Mr. Martin, that's always the main thing that juries are looking for, and that we're looking for when we're doing this job, is what does the community want? What do they want? And I would say, yes, it's there's a deterrent effect here by locking him up, obviously, but if we're going to lock him up for making this one huge mistake, 17 years ago, whatever time frame we're talking about, that's important, yes. But it's even more important to look at what goes forward in the future. And Mr. Perez has demonstrated he's essentially been on probation for a year, coming to your court, if you will. He's been on time. I think you've probably learned who the heck he is, because you see him standing up all the time. He's not doing something on Zoom. He's a little more. You're a little more familiar with what the things are that I've addressed about Mr. Perez's attendance, his respect for the court, his interest in being on time. And I think that he'll be monitored carefully. He's not going to reoffend because he's not a predator. I mean, the 17 years has demonstrated that there's nothing else has come forward since that period of time. He stayed out of trouble, and he has the ability to complete probation. He's done it. I realize sometimes people should not be given a second chance, but if there ever was a person that is a good candidate, both on his prior performance on probation and with you showing up in your court, and the time frame between the offense dates and today, this would be Mr. Perez. He clearly is, and I realize it's on the fence, but I think clearly the benefit of the doubt could go to Mr. Perez because of what the things are that I've already laid out for the court. I think that he would be very well suited and well controlled, and absolutely no problem to monitor Mr. Perez. So I would ask the court, take a long look at the mental health stuff. I didn't go over it. I know the court can read. He is a little slow. I think that's part of Mr. Martin's responses, if you will. But again, realizing that he was faced with a 25 to 99 case before because of the charge. So he entered a plea that he entered, and we don't know the reason why he answered exactly the way he answered. But maybe he was fearful, but maybe part of that goes to what you read in that mental health evaluation with regard to he's a easy to manage person, but he's also someone that will be very good on probation. So I'd ask you to please give Mr. Perez a chance. I think he'll be fine on probation, and I think that you won't have any problems at all. So I'd ask you to place him on deferred adjudication, Judge. Thank you.
All right. So according to your plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at 5 years if the court decides not to give Mr. I'm sorry. It decides not to give. No, I know it's Perez. I just received a message in the chat box. Off the record for a moment. Charlie Perkins, I need you to go to breakout room number 7, please.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, your attorney is waiting for you there.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry about that, Mr. Perez. It's if you could see my screen, there are flashes of messages that appear on the side, and some are in all caps, which means people are shouting, "Please put this person in this room." So we're back on the record. Mr. Perez, I did read your entire mental health report that I've received, and I take note of it. I'm very aware of people who have some mental health issues. I've read this PSI from cover to cover. As everyone will tell you, I love to read, so I read everything that I get, every period, every comma. This is not a good case for someone to be on deferred for. So I'm going to deny your application. I'm going to find you guilty. I'm going to follow the plea bargain agreement that you've reached. I'm going to sentence you to 5 years in prison, give you credit for any time served, and there will be Chapter 62 compliance, and there will be no contact with the complainants, which have already been mentioned at the previous hearings. I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it, and did you electronically sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And also because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And you will have registration compliance for the rest of your life. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Perez, good luck to you. Use this as a time to think about things. Are there any victim impact or no?
Yes, there is, Judge. And she's on Zoom under Carly Uriegas.
All right, to the courtroom, if I could have the defendant back, please. And Miss Carly Uriegas.
Hi, my name is Veronica Uri. I guess I'm not sure why.
No, just one moment.
When I found out, my heart dropped. I didn't know what to do, and this is the worst thing that I've ever been through. I don't. My gosh. It was so hard. Like, it was hard. It was between you and my daughters, man. I loved you with all my heart. Like, everything. I gave everything to you. My life. When my family wasn't there for me, you were my family. I did everything for you. How could you do this to us? Your daughter, my daughter. This is the worst betrayal that I've ever had in my life. This hurts beyond. I don't even know. This hurts. It's hard. Like, to see you have to go through this because of what you did. If you stayed out of trouble, it was because I kept you out of trouble. But how can you live with yourself? Your daughter, our daughter. How could you do this to us? Oh my God, I don't even have any words. I can't forgive you, man. We've been through a lot together, a lot. And this is how I get repaid, how my girls get repaid. This hurts. It hurts. You were my family. I'm done. I can't. Like, this hurts.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Miss Uriegas. Is there anyone else for victim impact or no?
No. My girls are scared to speak.
All right. All right. Deputies, you can take Mr. Perez now. Mr. Opersdorf, thank you for